Miami is a city of color, culture, and nightlife, but it is also a city where drag performers, the artists who help shape this local culture, walk into each show with courage and uncertainty due to restricting legislation, venue closures, and a turbulent political climate. For some performers, drag is community. For others, it is family. For Aria Sela, co-producer of Miami drag show Da Link Up, it is both.
I think for me, drag was really about like reclaiming the things that I told I couldn't be, you know. And my dad's Black, my mom's Cuban, so growing up in a Hispanic Caribbean household, obviously being feminine and being born as male was necessarily that they didn't necessarily align for my family, you know. So I was left to be raised by my grandmother. And eventually, when she passed away and got sick, I was 21 and I needed a way for survival. And my day job at the time, I was working at a local drag brunch as a hostess. And the girls there used to always tell me I was so pretty and that I would be perfect for drag. So I started off with open stage competitions and I would obviously clear them. And then from there, I started doing other like local shows and just building my name through the local scene. I think what I learned through that was that like a trans parent or chosen family in general, they do take the place of your actual like mother, basically, especially for many of us that are abandoned. Eventually, Liner Batty, at the time, who I knew as Vero, she used to come to all my shows and come support me. And eventually, her theater, Villain Theater, decided that they wanted to do a Friday night show. At that time, I had no drag. I was like a little baby queen with a human hair unit and a dream. And now we're 2 years in and we have built everything that you see around you, from all the shows to the sponsors.
Behind every emerging queen is someone who helped guide them. For Aria Sela, that person is her trans mother, Opo Amra. In the drag and trans community, a trans mother is someone who teaches you how to navigate transition and womanhood, from presentation to everyday safety to performance life.
We genuinely just like connected and clicked and like had a lot of like things in common, and so I just knew there was something like special about her, and I knew that that she was going to be a part of my family. It's taught me to be a little bit stronger. It's taught me to have, you know, a louder voice, because like definitely during 2020, I don't want to say like I spoke out a lot more, but like in another kind of way, I also like had to like shelter myself a little bit because of how much of a target I felt was on me just as a Black trans woman. It's been extremely terrifying, to say the least. But, you know, like having someone like Adisela that really, you know, makes me feel safe for being out a little bit more often. And obviously with like my performance sisters, they also do their best to keep tabs on each other, and like, you know, we, you know, look out for each other, make sure that we're all safe.
To understand drag today, we look to the past. University of Miami Professor Barbara Hoffman teaches a course on drag history, charting its path from early performance traditions to the art form we see on stages now.
A lot of people are seeing drag as if it's new, as if it's this new thing that we suddenly need to be concerned about, even though it's been around for so long.
Drag has existed for centuries. It appeared in early theater, grew through underground queer communities, and became a powerful part of LGBTQ+ culture long before today's performers stepped on stage.
We're seeing a lot more people who have strong opinions on drag who in their day-to-day lives are not affected by this.
In Florida, laws like the 2023 Protection of Children Act directly targeted drag performers and venues. Signed by Governor Ron DeSantis, it attempted to ban minors from any performance the state vaguely labeled as lewd, which included many drag shows. The law threatened venues with fines and the loss of liquor licenses, and even though federal courts blocked it, the impact continues.
The more drag is under attack in America, the fewer venues for performers, and the worse the economic circumstances. And so you would want to have it so that people can, if drag is their profession, and that's the interesting thing about drag as both a profession and an identity and a performance and a form of art, but we would love it if it could be a real profession for more people, but more and more drag shows, more and more venues are scared to have drag nights, cutting their drag nights, venues are closing, and so the economic struggles that a lot of drag queens face are growing more serious, especially here in Florida.
3 drag venues in Miami have announced closures or the cancellation of drag performances in 2025 alone. While this has made the scene more challenging for newer queens like Topanga, it has also opened room for new voices, new styles, and new performers shaping what Miami drag will become next.
Sometimes venues they'll host a drag event, but they really will not promote it themselves at all. They leave it all up to the performers, and like, I don't know, they just don't want to be like branded like a drag venue for hosting like drag bingo one time. I would say the most like challenges I've faced like establishing myself in the scene, I'm always grateful and like thankful when I get an opportunity to perform, but with kind of drag being something that's kind of in a way mainstream but also like under the radar, like not every venue will host a drag event, and so there are limited venues and some venues are closing, as we've like seen. I have really fallen in love with the scene here in South Florida because it's very community driven. There's a very good like sisterhood and bond through just kind of the solidarity of being a fellow performer.
Drag intersects with community care. Prevention 305, an organization that provides free and accessible HIV and sexual health services across Florida, often partners with drag performers and venues to reach LGBTQ+ residents. PrEP navigator Danny Gonzalez uses the visibility of drag shows to connect people with resources like PrEP, PEP, STI testing, and telemedicine, helping reduce stigma and expand access to care.
Prevention 305's partnership with Miami's drag community kind of began sort of at the beginning when we first started our organization and started doing outreach events. They make the message easy, they make the message fun, they make the message accessible in a way that maybe if you're reading just statistics on a page, it could feel like it's not about you, or it could feel very scary or daunting. The work that we do at Prevention 305 is incredibly important, especially today because of the political and social climate. We're getting defunded as a community across the board. So as many community organizations as possible that are working together, we all work together to end the epidemic, and it's very important.
Drag in Miami goes beyond performance. Many performers are involved with community outreach, nonprofit work, and advocacy, using their art to connect people with resources and support.
I think it was really important to bring a community of resources to trans people because trans people don't have resources. The government systematically wants us to not have anything. I think they go out of their way to make sure we don't have anything. And I think it becomes such an issue when you can't even go to work a corporate job because you're not necessarily professional, or you're not necessarily, you know, they make sure that they're not going to call you what your name isn't on a government like label, you know, whereas trans people have to like rely on like sex work or performing or local things. That's why these community partners matter.
I mean, what keeps me continuing to work is just like meeting more individuals that are also trying to change the world for the better, and are also trying to just make our community safer, make our community more inclusive, you know, like really just standing up for the voices of the marginalized people in our community and just making sure that we're all taken care of. And that's something that I definitely see myself in and, you know, want to contribute to.
Your brain, like this supercomputer that was made by evolution, God, the universe, like it's telling you something. And like, who is anyone to say that that's wrong?
To any trans person that's watching this, I think you matter. Transitioning saves my life, and I think that so many people in this time have been trying to actively convince me and every trans person that's starting off that this is a path of struggle and suffering, when in reality, transitioning has only brought me suffering because of what the government has indoctrinated and made me suffer through but transitioning is the greatest source of my joy, and I hope that every trans person finds that liberation. Sorry.
These performers are our neighbors, our coworkers, our artists, and our storytellers. They are family and friends to countless people across the city. The drag community will not be pushed out or erased. Their advocacy and care within the city will remain a force that shapes Miami for the better.